Gideon, chapter 6, Judges. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Because the power of Midian was so oppressive, the Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. Does this have to do with the Festival of Shelters? Good question. Keep that thought. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples invaded the country. They camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza and did not spare a living thing for Israel, neither sheep nor cattle nor donkeys. They came up with their livestock and their tents like swarms of locusts. It was impossible to count the men and their camels. They invaded the land to ravage it. Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help. Remember, had they been following the Lord, had they been keeping his commands and doing what was according to the law and the commands, the Lord would be their protector, their Lord would be their provider. But when they don't, the Lord is right to punish, and this is how he allowed the punishments to happen. He allowed for invaders to come and ruin their way of their life. And these invaders, as we know, they were supposed to be completely removed by Israel, but unfortunately Israel did not remove all of the Canaanites that were in the area. So there have been a thorn in their sides. But when all else fails, they finally, cry out, repent and cry out to the Lord. And that's something that we need to look out for in ourselves. When you're a believer, it's not right for us to continue to do along the path of sin, repeated sin and such. Following in the Holy Word and meditating, that helps us to prevent the sin. Unfortunately, we still do things that are not right. However, like I mentioned, the more you meditate on the Lord's Word, the more you keep that in your heart, keep that in your mind, that'll help prevent the many opportunities and many times that it'll help reduce and hopefully get rid of. You never know. So, but it goes to show you, though, when the times are good, we tend to take the Lord for granted. And then when times are bad, we call out to him. We call out to him more when times are bad than when times are good. And that's, okay, so let's think about this. You or I, someone, you went out of your way and you provided something for someone. Let's say you went out and you made this extravagant meal for this person. I'm just going to use this as an example. There's all kinds of different examples that you can think of. Buying a house for someone, buying a car, what, you name it. And then that person misuses it, mistreats it. Like they come to the dinner and they throw food on the wall. They complain. Even though they know it tastes good, they complain. They're not really good guests, right? Not only that, but then they continue and they get worse. They get drunk, or they get irate, or they get where people, they're no longer able to be in a dinner type of situation or a meal type of situation with others. And so others speak out and others want to punish, and they say, okay, you need to leave, or you need to, even though it's your place, or they say, well, I'm not going to talk to that person anymore. And it could tumble into opportunities missed. It could tumble into maybe clients that they could have had at the dinner no longer wanting to work with that person. But you did this for them, and it's almost like you're like that you were disrespected. Think about that. How would you feel if someone were disrespecting your home, everything that you did for them? They didn't really care. They took it for granted. You would feel like you would want to do something. In our situation, we are to turn the other cheek because we're not the creator. And so the Lord has created and done everything possible for Israel, and yet they've completely disregarded him. They take him for granted, disregarded him, and just did what they wanted to do. And so the Lord allowed for bad things to happen. And then they cry out. So we have to take a look at that in our life too. Using past, the present, the future, do we do that? Do we take things for granted? How does our, when we're the ones providing and such, and we're mistreated, how do we feel about it? How does it make you feel? And so we have a God that loves us tremendously as a parent, as someone who completely loves us fully. And so he was like, okay, well, I need to allow for a punishment to happen in order for them to come back to me, in order for them to admit that they need me. So it says a lot. This is a whole sermon right here. And just speaking over these first verses here in Judges chapter 6, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?